14 degrees out there right now. We are seeing a little bit of light snow falling mainly southeast of the metro. That breeze, though, making that temperature feel below zero, and most of the state is with us there. You look 11 degrees below up in Spencer, 9 below for Algona, single digits above for feels like temperatures off to the southeast. That's where they're continuing to see a little bit of light snow, though. You look over at Ottumwa right now, and they have got the bulk of that down towards around Burlington, and you look eastward, not quite towards Davenport. So we look regionally here. You can see we do have more snow on the way. We've got a chance to pick up some more accumulating snow as we head into the evening and especially the overnight hours. So the train of snow continues. You look, chances increase greatly beyond around 8 p.m. and those temperatures start backing down again into the single digits. So on Futurecast here, you can see by around 7 p.m. areas like Carroll, Atlantic, out near Audubon, you get a chance to pick up a little bit of snow. That snow continues to dive to the south, and that's where largely it's going to stay through the overnight hours. So again, as you head out, if you're leaving early tomorrow morning, could see some snow-covered roads to the south. But if that's not enough, we've got even more snow on the way. By 6 p.m., again, largely going to be south of 80, and heaviest totals out of this batch, mainly through southeastern Iowa, but still could see a couple inches out of the first system and a couple inches out of the second system for that southern, I'd say, quarter of the state or so. So even more snow is set to make its way through the state. Here's snow totals through 5 p.m. tomorrow. Got a chance of around 4 inches or snow of snow for Lamoni, and as you head to the north, it tapers back pretty quickly to fractions of an inch. Could even see some lighter blowing snow by tomorrow morning, but that wind is going to continue to die down as we head into the overnight, and especially by tomorrow afternoon. We're talking winds in the single digits, so by then blowing snow probably not going to be as much of a thing, but you are going to be waking up to some pretty frigid cold out there in the morning. Temperatures dropping into the teens below for northern portions of the state. So please just bundle up if you do have plans to head on out. Highs today only sitting in the mid to upper teens. Tonight, those lows dropping into the single digits for most of us. 4 for the metro again. More chances for snow. The bulk of that will be falling through the southern portion of the state. And look at your 8-day forecast. If you haven't enjoyed the snow, we've only got 2 more days of it and really evenings of it, as that's going to be the timing of it overnight. 25 though on Sunday, and we keep it in the mid-20s on Monday. Temperatures warming into the low 30s by Tuesday. We are back into the 40s by the middle of the week.